Today I am going to be talking about shapeshifting. If you want to inhabit and create a new reality, if you want to step into your highest timeline, if you want to be attuned to the frequencies of New Earth, you need to be able to become someone or something different and new. This is where shapeshifting comes in, and it's not about lizards or zombies or anything like that. It is about attuning to and harnessing an ancient practice that allows you to actually shift your consciousness and step into new forms and new ways of being and relating to the world. I'm going to explain why I think this is a powerful manifesting technique that's coming more and more online, and stay tuned because at the end I'm going to share a simple, practical but really powerful way that you can practice this for yourself. If you're new to the channel, I'm Charlotte, and I help people to shed the past, love the present, and manifest a better future. I feel really called to talk about shapeshifting at this time because I see it as a kind of advanced form of manifestation that is going to become more and more available to us as we shift into the energy of the new earth. It is a form of manifesting that isn't just about thinking, it's about attuning to our embodied presence and our awakened hearts and our active imagination in order to shift our relationship with ourselves, the environment, the earth, and literally transmute ourselves and become new beings. I'm sure you're aware that shapeshifting is really deeply embedded in our collective psyche, right? We see it in so many different mythologies, whether that's Greek or Norse, Native American, Celtic, and so on. And also, of course, in our cinema, in our TV, in our movies, you know, anything from like Beauty and the Beast to X-Men to Harry Potter, all kinds of representations of the ability to morph and shift from one kind of being to the other. And this shows us how very important the concept and the practice is to us on a very deep level. But I actually want to talk about it in the context of shamanic energy medicine. A couple of years ago, I was passed some healing rites by my crystal healing teacher, and they're called the Munay Ki rites. Now, Munay Ki means the power of love, and the love that it refers to is the love the Creator has for creation. And these healing rites have been brought to the West through Alberto Villoldo and Marcela Lobos, his wife, after they spent a long time, decades, working with the shamans in the Peruvian Andes and the Amazon jungle. And these rites are initiations that help us to become more connected with the earth and with each other so that we can actually become stewards of the earth. And I see that stewardship as a really key part in the way that we are able to navigate the coming of the new earth. So being past these healing rites massively impacted my crystal healing practice, all of the energy medicine work that I get to do. And part of shamanism involves shapeshifting. This is an ancient technique where forms are able to morph into different forms. There are different levels of shapeshifting. The most basic one is kind of like mimicry, taking on the characteristics of someone or something else. But then, of course, as the shamans get more and more advanced, they are able to literally take on other physical forms to the extent that other people would recognize them as that new form. I remember Alberto Villoldo talking about these advanced shamans who can actually literally transform, so that you might be walking through the jungle and go past a tree and it actually taps you on the shoulder and says, "Aren't you going to stop and say hello?" Because it's actually a shaman who has embodied the tree form. Often the shift is into the spirit of, or even sometimes the body of, an animal. And this is done to protect the community or to bring resources to the community, to support with healing practices, or to get other kinds of insights and information. And I had my own experience of shapeshifting a couple of years ago. I wouldn't have called it that then, but my partner is from a Native American lineage. And he's a very spiritual being, and a lot of my awakenings and initiations have actually come through him. And we were away on holiday, we were in the Caribbean, we were in Barbados, and we'd taken a walk at night. We found ourselves going down a path. It was very, very dark. We didn't really know where we were going, and we ended up accidentally trespassing on somebody's private land. And some dogs became aware of our presence, and they started to very, very fiercely bark and growl at us in a way that was really quite intimidating. They were big dogs, and I, for one, was extremely scared. And my partner somehow in that moment shape-shifted his energy so that it actually became palatable and calming for the dogs. And he just went shh to the dogs. Okay, they literally started to become silent. They stopped barking, and they allowed us to pass. And at the same time as he was becoming aligned with the frequency of the dogs, I became invisible. I was to his right hand side, the dogs were to his left, and I literally became so aligned with his presence that I was no longer detectable in that environment. It was an incredible experience of invisibility, and by invisibility I mean coherence with the environment to the extent where you are not detectable anymore. And this is actually a form of shape-shifting, right? Blending with the environment is a way of being chameleon-like and transforming in a way where you merge with your environment. So I'm going to share a very simple way to practice shape-shifting, okay? But before I do that, if you're enjoying this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more videos about energy and reality creation from me. There's an amazing book called Shapeshifting into Higher Consciousness by Llyn Roberts, and I want to share a direct quotation from the book because it explains how we can start to shapeshift in such a perfect way. She says, "To consciously shapeshift, we direct intention to alter energy and form." Now, energy includes thoughts and emotions, but also the underlying kind of spiritual blueprint that pre-exists everything that we see as being material. Form is anything we perceive as solid or physical. For example, our bodies, buildings, cars, the earth, and the elements. Yet form can also be institutions, governments, behaviors, organized religions. So when we expand what we mean by form in the way that Llyn Roberts does, you can start to see that you have the ability to shape form with your influence, with your presence, with your practice, with the way that you interact with all kinds of different entities in your reality. So you have much more power to shapeshift than you might have thought. But Llyn Roberts is also teaching us that shape-shifting is much more than just thinking what we want to create into existence. It's also about literally embodying the essence of a thing, right? Becoming so aligned with it that we actually start to inhabit it and become it. And again, this is not necessarily about literally becoming an animal or something like that. It's about inhabiting the energy that you wish to occupy and doing that in a way that's very visceral, that's very embodied, that involves your imagination, that involves your whole body and your heart. And the thing about imagination is that we've really kind of belittled it in Western culture. We almost relegate it to the realms of childhood. You know, it's lovely to see children imagining being other things or people, but we think it's something that we grow out of. Whereas in the shamanic tradition, imagination is actually one of the most important and valuable tools, because one key technique is journeying, where your imagination takes you into the quantum field where you can connect with spirit animals or guides in a way that's extremely direct. And that's how you can start to actually embody the energies of these other beings and presences and exchange information with them in a way that's mutually healing and mutually beneficial for yourself, your community, and the planet. So I'm going to share a simple practice that you can do to start exploring your own ability to shapeshift. And this is specifically about attuning to the frequency of a being, like a crystal or a tree or a flower or maybe water or something like that. The first step is to pick the being that you want to merge your consciousness with, okay? And then come into its presence. If you're working with a tree, then it is nice to ask for permission to approach the tree, so you can do that. And then you want to take some time to settle into the present moment, maybe feel the earth beneath your feet and take some nice deep breaths to make sure that you're calm and that you're really present for this activity. And then observe whatever it is. Get really curious about its form, about its size and shape and texture, the nature of the object itself. And once you've started to explore the physical form of it, you can begin to sense into what it is like to inhabit the essence of this thing. Be very curious about what it might know. Then you can start to sense yourself being in an interaction, an information exchange with the being, and you can start to feel your energy merging into one. I tend to imagine my consciousness moving into the center of the object and this object's center of consciousness moving into mine, and it's this exchange that allows you to kind of merge and become one. And just allow yourself to be really open to any subtle insights that might come to you during this exchange. And when you feel ready to finish, then make sure to thank the being and release it out back into the earth. And that is a way that's very simple to start to understand yourself as having the capacity to shapeshift, to merge your energy with the energy of beautiful natural phenomena. And then in that way, you're going to become a different kind of manifester. You're going to have the capacity to raise your consciousness and to shift into the frequency, the energy, the power, and the healing presence of other kinds of beings. So as I say, I see this as a very advanced form of manifestation that's going to become more available as we move into New Earth and become aware of our interconnection with all beings and our ability to raise the frequency and the alignment that we all have with the New Earth. So I hope that's helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next video.